So in this video, we got some big Fallout 4 mods to go over. Firstly, there's actually been some pretty substantial updates around Fallout 4 the Capital Wasteland project, the Fallout 3 remake mod. There's some pretty awesome new screenshots to share around their Point Lookout DLC. If you're not familiar, the team is actually doing the Point Lookout DLC as kind of a spin-off before the larger mod comes out. And this will likely be our first opportunity to play one of those older Fallouts on the modern engine. Even if it is just one of their DLCs, still, this is going to be a pretty monumental moment, so we'll go over some of the updates with that. But even further, another huge update is the recent announcement from Sim Settlements. And this is another one to get extremely excited for because Sim Settlements and their team take an interesting approach where they really only announce things as they're almost ready for release. And Sim Settlements' most recent announcement and some of the details to come out around it are massive and almost certainly going to get you to reinstall Fallout 4 if you haven't already. Outside of that, we'll go over a few other mods to recently get teasers or updates for Fallout 4 so you can see what's on the horizon. There's actually quite a few pretty awesome ones even outside of those two larger scale mods. But with that said, if you guys want to get subscribed, very soon in the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to have a larger video looking at all of the DLC sized mods on their way to Fallout 4 and some updates on them. But otherwise, let's first take a look at Fallout 4 the Capital Wasteland project, that of course being the Fallout 3 remake mod. With the recent purchase of ZeniMax and Bethesda by Microsoft, remasters and remakes have been all the rage. A ton of discussion has been going on around them. But what you're seeing in the background is probably the soonest you'll get to experience these older games on the modern engine. As this mod team shows off some incredible progress they've made, both in regards to some of those interior locations, fleshing out familiar places you probably explored in Point Lookout years ago. But even further, they actually share some little teaser images of some of their quest icons and other animated icons that actually have been completed. I feel like this is one of the parts of modding that isn't quite as glorious. People don't consider it so much, but they still have to remake everything. So quest icons and little miscellaneous objects or assets are an essential part of this. These look great. Whenever mod projects post these little icons, I feel like it's one of the key things to really take me back to experiencing those older games. But of course, something that'll probably take you back more so than anything else is actually seeing some of those characters and their faces. And we also get a look at that. And this is actually a pretty big update because, of course, actually handcrafting all of these character faces in the updated Fallout 4 character creation tool is a pretty big undertaking. And to actually put that a bit more clearly on display, I loaded up Fallout 3 and compared one of the dialogue shots to Fallout 3 to this new Fallout 4 redone version. It's pretty crazy how accurate it is. It really does just look like the same character, just updated and looking better due to the advancements with Fallout 4. But even further, as you're seeing in all of these images in the background, you could also see their dialogue being implemented, not just a picture of a character standing there like we've seen in the past, but rather actually talking to them. A couple of months ago now, this mod project, specifically with the Point Lookout expansion, described how they were actually at their halfway point. Halfway as far as everything, halfway towards release, so now we are over the halfway point and there's been serious progress made. And I think seeing it all come together with some of these characters and interacting with them, likely in the process of doing some quests, is truly representative of that. And then last but not least, we do have some external landscape shots, which still do look pretty awesome. You'd actually see just some of the visual and lighting overhauls that come from the Fallout 4 engine, not quite that green tint of Fallout 3, which I am actually excited to experience this content with the better visuals overall. So overall, I'm really excited for this one. I think as far as a lot of these DLC sized mod projects, this might be one of the first times we actually get our hands on one, and hopefully all of these images come together to really get you hyped, to showcase how much work has been done already. And if all that didn't hype you up enough, they also describe with this most recent post that it's really the last round of teasers. In the coming months, they're going to share bigger details and maybe we'll even see some gameplays or trailers showing what they have been working on and what this is all coming together to be. Although, speaking of things in the shorter term and things to look forward to, we also do have the massive update and trailer from Sim Settlements, specifically showcasing Sim Settlements 2. So if you haven't watched this original trailer, please do. The production quality on this mod project's trailer that you'll be able to download for free is ridiculous. Between the custom voice acting, the actual shots themselves, and just in general how hyped I am for this mod. So Sim Settlements is probably the best mod for Fallout 4, just full stop. I put more hours into Fallout 4 using that mod and its 3 expansions than any other, and enjoyed basically all of those hours. But with that in mind, Sim Settlements 2 is an interesting one. The trailer and actually the FAQ page that was put up with it explains a lot, but also doesn't give away everything. As we see described in the trailer, a major focus of this mod and Sim Settlements 2 overall is rebuilding the Commonwealth. And really, it seems like the major focus of this mod is giving you a better reason to rebuild the Commonwealth. You'll be partnering up with this person named Jake, and he'll take you throughout the story of actually rebuilding the Commonwealth and battling certain foes you'll encounter along the way. And although without a doubt it does seem like Sim Settlements 2 will have more of a story focus, we saw them start branching into that more heavily with Conqueror, the final expansion for Sim Settlements 1. That actually isn't all this is bringing to the table, as it's also described as actually evolving on the gameplay introduced in the original Sim Settlements, adding more features on top of that, buildings to create, and these being things where you could still fully automate them or actually dive in deep trying to customize them yourselves. But of course, with Sim Settlements 2, all of this has been coded from the ground up for a faster, more stable, and more expansive experience holistically. They took the years of experience and knowledge they got from creating the Sim Settlements and 3 expansions to put it all together here. And as far as the story of this one goes, I think it could be a really interesting and unique way to tie together Fallout 4. They describe in the FAQ how there'll be dozens of fully voiced NPCs that will actually react to what you're doing, the progress you're making rebuilding the Commonwealth, but even further, just in the actual trailer itself, we see some pretty interesting and unique set elements. There's this gunner character named Aiden who clearly has a focus on hunting down gunners. Sim Settlements 1 with Conqueror really started to give us more of an explanation for the gunners, more incentive to go against them or in times actually side with them. We see many custom things like this giant gun that obviously looks interesting or fascinating with whatever we'll do with it. We can see DLC areas from Fallout 4 featuring their own settlement systems, pets coming with this, and actually a special device that is read as analyzing your DNA and of course has your special stats on the side, and the scary ghoul hazmat suit, which I have no idea what this is, but it just looks awesome. And if all that sounds even remotely cool to you, the big reason to get immensely excited for this is it's coming very soon. This is a policy they've taken with all of their DLCs or expansions and even Sim Settlements itself, but they also confirm it on their page. They confirm there's going to be a new gameplay trailer showing this all off in the next few weeks that'll include a release date. So this is definitely something to look forward to. I imagine many of us will be spending many hours playing this expansive mod for Fallout 4 and probably replaying it over and over again in years to come. This also doesn't mean Sim Settlements 1 is going away. They still will continue to support it through bug fixing, but no new content will come to that. It seems like most of the new content focus is on Sim Settlements 2 now, but either way, this is looking to be massive. A ton of stuff will likely come on day one, and then more and more over some of those content patches and expansion of that story and likely some gameplay features that they do describe. And I gotta admit, honestly, in some ways, I find myself genuinely more excited for this mod, Sim Settlements 2, than for the upcoming Fallout 76 story DLC, just because I know how much replayability will likely be in some of these new mechanics they bring to Fallout 4. So those are two of the giant mod projects that we just got big updates on, but even further are entering into interesting stages of development, where we may be seeing a lot more, even getting our hands on them relatively soon. But then taking a step aside from those and actually looking at some of the other mods on their way to Fallout 4, we do have another one that's going to be quite sizable and also potentially coming in just a few weeks. And that is a fairly large update and rewrite of the Lost Vault. So the Lost Vault is an existing mod for Fallout 4. It's the story of a vault in the glowing sea that, as with many of the vaults in Fallout, we now find mostly abandoned with a very interesting story to tell. And if you're like, oh, I've never even heard of that mod, perhaps that's a good thing, because it's getting a massive update slated right now to release on October 31st. So this updated version is going to bring a lot. Just a comprehensive overhaul to the layout and visuals of the vault itself, making it a bit more digestible as far as the lighting goes, actually enhancing the layout so it's not as confusing or maze-like, adding in additional rooms and additional lore entries, as well as somewhat rewriting the story. The story is now several years old, and this should be an overall improvement of it. Although all of that sounds great, what's actually getting me quite excited for this is some of the images and videos coming out around this large update. We could see some of the new assets being created for this, and those in and of themselves look pretty awesome, but even further, just how good this vault is coming together to look. I think with a Halloween release date, this will likely be a great way to socially distance on your Halloween, but get some pretty true to Fallout stories. But of course, the whole thing being slightly scary in nature due to the location and even the story of the vault itself. So without a doubt, another one to look forward to. But I can't mention the Fallout 3 remake mod without sharing with you one of the recent updates from the New Vegas remake mod. As one of the images they recently shared is actually a variety of images of the BAR from one of the DLCs from Fallout New Vegas. So this looks actually quite exceptional. It seems like they are taking full support of the Fallout 4 customization system, but also remaining true to form as to what we saw in New Vegas. You can customize this this to be nearly identical to what we had in New Vegas, but also something totally different and unique. It feels like time and time again with many of these remake mods, as they're creating the larger project and creating assets for it, whether it be weapons, armors, or even new features along the way, we end up having this really awesome trickle-down effect for Fallout 4, wherein many get released as standalone items. And this is definitely one I would be looking forward to. One, you get a bit of a nostalgia trip, but in general, just a cool new weapon mod for Fallout 4. But then in quite a bit of a different vein, we have another pretty interesting mod on its way, and I think a lot of people are going to love this one. So what we have here is the Commonwealth reclamation project. And as you can see, it is going to be a new grass mod for Fallout 4, and in fact, one of those more overgrown grass mods where things really kind of get out of control. I like these in particular because they feel quite true to form. After hundreds of years of bombs dropping, things probably would grow out, not be as minimal as they are by default in the Commonwealth. And although all of that does look cool, there's actually two separate versions of this mod. One of them that's just a normal environmental mod, but a separate one, overgrowth, that actually impacts the cities, and that's what's been mainly worked on now. And as you can see by some of these screenshots, the cities in Fallout 4 do get substantial foliage on some of the buildings and just all throughout growing in them. And I think this looks really cool. I know some people might immediately be turned off by this, but some things to sweeten the deal just a little bit. The mod author with this one has actually redone all of the pre-combines for the entire map. So unlike some alternate mods out there that do break them but bring a similar green experience, this one won't. Your FPS will at least be somewhat saved. And looking at some of the updates from this mod project, with the pre-combines as well as just the impact on cities, I could without a doubt see it end up being the definitive choice for green mods for Fallout 4. Again, my favorite way to make the game look, and likely one you'll start seeing in the background of my videos once it ends up getting released. But then last but not least, another pretty interesting and special mod on its way to Fallout 4. We do have vanilla weapons redone. The scope of this one isn't totally clear, but at the bare minimum, it's going to actually retexture or redesign some aspects of the vanilla items you can get in Fallout 4. Right now affecting three primary weapons, the 44 Magnum, the Deliverer, and the minigun. And actually separately, there's some images of a redone Pip-Boy. This is one to get excited for because this mod author in the past has had a similar project with some of the Raider armors for Fallout 4, updating many of the armors used by Raiders and giving them a slightly different look. And that has without a doubt been one of my favorite mods ever for this game, mainly because it's just novel. It makes the Raiders feel and look fresh. And it definitely looks like this mod will have a similar feeling to it. One, just making many of the weapons look better, but even further, for how many times you've probably held a minigun in this game, it's going to feel special to have it look slightly different, whether it just be better or with some of those design changes we can see. Either way though, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys found this one informative, keeping you up to date with some of these upcoming mods. There's definitely a lot to look forward to over the next couple of months. Between the mods I show you in this video and even things like Fallout New California, there's going to be a lot of videos around Fallout 4 mods for the latter half of 2020, so you can get subscribed and experience those. Otherwise though, as always again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.